This is why I'm here today, to talk about the value of delight. Without it, a soul is lost. It's the voice of your spirit. Delight is an inward reflection of gratitude. And a meaningful life is delighting in yourself as much as you do others. It's a full circle. I was married for 10 years. Happily, I thought. We had an active sex life. It was fine, I guess. But have sex, go bowling, whichever. They were both fun. I was 32 years old and had never experienced lust. Until I met Roberto Centrone Status at Broadway Bodybuilder, 74th Street in Broadway, New York City. Roberto defined delightful. He turned on a switch that had been shut down in me. It was like a real live romance novel. He took me away from the efforts to please and be chosen and be loved. I had been sexually abused regularly as a kid. Lust did not have warm and fuzzy feelings around it. I wasn't looking for that in my life, but this was different. I felt suddenly awake in every way. It was beautiful, not dutiful. At home with my husband, I started to feel like a caged cat. At the gym with Roberto, I had pins and needles everywhere. No matter where I went, feelings were heightened. It's like the universe struck me with lightning, pure energy with its own agenda. But I didn't get the memo. I did not know how to contain this. So I thought, if I could just meet with Roberto outside of the gym, we could make sense out of this thing and I could just get my life back in order. I was attending reflexology school at the time, acupressure treatment for the feet, and I needed to do practice sessions. So I asked Roberto, "Can I borrow your feet for an hour?" Well, he perked right up. Sure. We set up an appointment at his place. I arrived with cream and filed nails and all my talking points in order. I was sticking to the hour we scheduled. Reflexology didn't happen. Something better happened. I chose myself for the first real time. Not what was dutiful for someone else, but what was right and real for me. That lightning steered me to me through my delight in Roberto. When going through my divorce, I was attending seminary to become a Tao minister. With my body's senses awake, nothing was making sense in life anymore. So I asked the Tao master if we could talk, and gratefully he welcomed me. I spent an hour ranting about how selfish I was. How could I lust over one man when I had pledged my loyalty to another? I had made a promise. It's my duty to stick to it. I hardly took a breath between sentences, both defending and obliterating my heart's ache. I cried, I argued, I reasoned with essentially myself. My master just looked at me straight in the eye the whole hour, hands crossed on his lap, silent. Finally, deflated and exhausted, I stopped talking. And it was still silent for a little bit. When he finally spoke, he said, "Is selfish a bad word?" It can be challenging to see your own goodness and delight in it, to hear your wisdom and delight in it, to trust your body, to be guided by lightning, and delight in their mystery. Enjoying life can be thought frivolous amongst matters of reputation, responsibility, and duty. And too often, duty in the form of responsibility or discipline and compliance has little to do with guiding, teaching, or loving another human being. It has to do with having power over or being overpowered by another human being. And through this power struggle, we learn what we should be. Delight is dependent on your light. It's the divine that lives through you, and it ushers you into your greatest good and your greatest gifts, and through it you learn what you could be. Developing this light is our duty. And the path to this light is delight. But do we let life pass through our delight in living? When's the last time you stepped off the treadmill of tension-based duty and just delighted in yourself? I'm a mind-body strength trainer, and I start with your light. We find delight in movements big or small by feeling what is, rather than thinking what should be, and explore the nature of your unique strength. A workout is a place to practice the discipline of delight. It trains you to live in the relevance of your light. After 6 years of undying passion with Roberto, there was an abrupt disruption. The love of my life was beaten and left for dead on the side of the road. He got 3 brain hemorrhages hammered into him. I got the call, I dropped everything. I'd never fainted or swooned, but when I first saw him, I needed a wall to hold me up. His unconscious head looked like a Star Trek character. I got to a sink and splashed some water on my face and caught my reflection in the mirror, and it said to me, "Stand in your strength. Know your relevance, and he will live." And I did, and he did. After a month in the hospital, spending every night sleeping at the chair at his bedside, he was released. But there was no next steps. There was nothing more they could do. He would pee in the closet, he would take a shower with his clothes on, he would eat the deodorant. Whenever I went to work, I had to have a babysitter, and he wore dog tags on his shoelaces because he wouldn't wear a necklace. After much research, I admitted him into Mount Sinai's outpatient cognitive therapy program for a full year. While he made improvements, at the end, the therapist said to us, "Roberto won't make much more improvement." So I advise that he continue with traditional therapy so he can learn how to be who he is now. Roberto proudly and definitively said, "I don't need a therapist, I have Tammy." I was flooded with conflicting emotions. It was so clear to me that so long as Roberto was actively participating in reclaiming his light as he'd been doing for a year, we would continue to reclaim our light, no matter the circumstances. This is the act of loving. But suddenly, I was expected to be him for him. This didn't feel like love. But I kept trying for 3 more months because I wanted to be wrong. But that little voice inside wasn't wrong. Partnering Roberto now felt like enabling his absolved duty to himself. To claim his own life, his light, he needed to choose himself, not me. I was only hurting him now, not helping him. I knew I had to let him go. So I suggested that he go visit his mom in Puerto Rico, where the beating actually happened. He hadn't seen her in well over a year. He so gently and knowingly asked, in his 10-year-old now permanent manner, "Should I bring my stuff with me?" Without a thought, my body knew the answer. "Yeah, I think you should bring your stuff with you." I wanted the best for him. But letting him go was the hardest thing I've ever been asked to do. I found delight again by choosing myself again. I too needed to reclaim my light. I learned that when you love wholly, it lasts forever. No matter if it looks like a typical romance novel or not. For years after Roberto returned to Puerto Rico, he was King Santhiar and I was Queen Sophia. And we lived our royal coupling on the phone lines. I also learned that we each have a unique light, and when we align with it, we feel delight. When we actively choose to align with delight, we actively choose our unique purpose in the world. Without the discipline to delight in ourselves and make the choices to nurture that light, shadows envelop us into a should be rather than a could be life. I challenge you to see your goodness and trust your knowing starting today, and delight in it. When you put your head on the pillow tonight, review all the good stuff you did today and be delighted by yourself. And then tomorrow morning when you wake up, review what you know will serve your day and be delighted by your foresight. Capture a feeling of delight every day and lean into it throughout the day, again and again and again. Delight is not frivolous. It's your duty. Thank you.